Hey, what's going on, guys? Okay, we got some exciting news, guys. Patch 2.1.1 has been released, and we're just going to go through some of the patch notes here that Blizzard has released in regards to that patch. And guys, it looks pretty interesting, especially for the witch doctors. I'm very happy that they've done this. If you watch some of my previous videos, you would have seen me complaining a little bit about the survivability of the pets in the pet builds. So it certainly does seem that they listened to us and made some changes to make the witch doctor a little stronger. So we'll go through those guys one by one here. So we're going to go through the philosophy here on the pets. It says we want pet survivability to be roughly equivalent to the player that summoned them. Many monsters' attacks that are intended to be avoided by players and weren't already dealing reduced damage to pets now deal significantly less damage to pets. And the bug fix here: pets are now properly affected by shield pylons, so that's really good, guys. In these rifts, when you get those shield pylons, it was uh, never casted onto your pets, so now that will happen. So again, just more survivability, right? The Crusader here with Shield Bash can now be interrupted during the hit animation, so a little something there for them. Active skills here: Fetish Army for the Witch Doctor. Fetish life has been greatly increased. Thumbs up there, guys. I was getting into these greater rifts, up by level 30, 31, 32, where let's say a Death Maiden could just do her little 360 spinneroo attack and just completely wipe out every single fetish on the screen, and that was just a real bummer. And they didn't even have to be an elite pack; it was just a regular white mob. So fetish movement speed has been significantly increased, and the fetish leash range has been slightly increased. So their movement speed, they're going to get to your monsters even faster. So what that says is they're going to have more life and they're going to be faster. When they're faster, it's survivability for you as a character. Your life bar will not go down as fast, because when a monster is on the screen, it's not going to be able to get to you in time because your monsters are just heading towards it. And something that's also going to affect that is the leash range. So we're probably going to see now the fetishes able to go off screen to attack monsters, again making your survivability a lot better. So now that they did this with the pets, not only is it going to be better for your pets, but also better for your character in general for survivability. Gargantuan here. Gargantuan is now summoned at the location of your mouse cursor. Man, that is amazing. Every time you used to cast your Gargantuan, it would kind of just spawn right up where your character was, and he kind of just stood around with his thumb up his ass, you know what I mean, not doing anything. I've had that happen many times. There was even times where I've considered to stop using Wrathful Protector for the simple fact that you'd cast him, and he would just sit there and look up in the air and then go right back in the ground, and you're just like, oh man, what the heck happened, right? So now you just put your mouse cursor where you want, cast him. In my opinion, the best place to cast him would be right in the middle of an elite pack. You just get up, you'll start DPSing, and you could take full advantage of that skill. Also, his summon animation speed has been increased. That was another thing. He lasts for 15 seconds, guys. 5 of them 15 seconds was him coming out of the ground, so you lost all that time. So now it seems like they've focused on fixing that, so that's a really big plus for us pet builds. Spirit Walk no longer cancels early when the physical body that is left behind takes enough damage. That was something that I didn't really notice too often, but a lot of people did complain on the forums. And basically what that means, when you cast Spirit Walk, there's a little thing that you leave behind. It's a little body. And that was able to take damage. And if it took damage, your Spirit Walk would end. So now they seem like they've eliminated that altogether. So again, guys, more survivability for your character. The longer you can stay in Spirit Walk, the less damage you're going to be taking, right? Summon zombie dogs here. The zombie dog life has been greatly increased. I believe they doubled the amount of life. So guys, that is huge. The zombie dog was a tank to begin with, although in the higher levels I noticed that he could die quite quickly, but a doubled lifespan is going to be absolutely amazing, guys. Talk about a tank. I can't wait to get in here and do some of these higher level risks and show you guys what this zombie dog is going to be capable of doing. So another big plus. Passive skills here: Fetish Sycophants. Now, Fetish life has been greatly increased, Fetish movement speed has been significantly increased, and Fetish leash range has also been slightly increased. So again, guys, even with your passive, we're not just talking your Fetish army, we're talking about your Sycophants here are going to get the same benefits as your Fetish army. So you can only imagine having all those fetishes on the screen, which I believe is 15, along with your toughened dog and your better Gargantuan. He's got better AI on him now. You could just imagine, like, the leash range and their upgraded life. You're going to have such an easier time as a witch doctor staying alive. So very, very good. User interface here, okay. Fetish Army and Fetish Psychophants portrait icons should now display more fitting names on mouse over. That really didn't mean anything to me as a player. Maybe it did with other people, so not going to really elaborate on that. Items here for class-specific legendary items. We have the Firebird's Finery, the infinite DOT damage, or DOT debuff should now have a unique effect when it is applied. So a little something there for the wizards. Legendary gems, Boon of the Hoarder. The number of gold piles that explode from enemies on kill has been reduced. Now there's people on the forums, guys, that are absolutely ripping Blizzard a new one on this one, and I don't understand why. I don't really call it a nerf, because if you look, it says to compensate the amount of gold in each pile is going to be increased. So less piles, more gold. You're probably going to average out to be the same, guys. I know it doesn't look as cool when you got gold popping all over the screen and whatnot, but you're going to get the same amount of gold regardless. So I really don't think that's a nerf by any means. The total amount of gold drop remains unchanged, but this will noticeably reduce screen clutter. I agree. I absolutely agree. Bug fixes. The Moratorium's second power can now be triggered by assist. That's awesome. The Bane of the Trap damage increase will now properly applied to frozen enemies. So that's another big plus there, guys, for all you guys who use that gem. To be honest, I don't really use that gem, but for those who do, will notice that difference. Okay, the Toxin. This is a nice one. The DOT can now be properly applied by pet attacks. So if you have that gem in your item, all your pets are going to be proccing that poison damage, guys. Dang! I can't wait to put it in. It's probably going to be one of the elite gems that I'm going to put on my character specifically because it's now allowed on the pets. I kind of wish the Boon of the Hoarder gem would also be applied to the pets as well. I noticed they didn't have that here. I was a little upset when I didn't see that because the Boon of the Hoarder does not work when you put it on your pet builds. Whenever your pets kill a monster, you don't get that proc. So. But this year, guys, talk about OP. I have a funny feeling that Blizzard might kind of average that out and maybe nerf it a little bit because that's going to be extremely overpowered. And I'll give you an example of that in a future video. Adventure mode here. Okay, so Rift Guardians and Greater Rift Guardians now drop more crafting materials. I would have focused myself on legendary drops. There's nothing worse than doing a level 31 or 32 Greater Rift Guardian and not having a legendary item drop. Because when you think about it, for me anyway, I could do a T6 Rift, normal Rift, in roughly 6 to 10 minutes. It kind of depends on mob density and whatnot, what kind of monsters you get. But 6 to 10 minutes seems to be right about the norm for me. And in those rifts, I always get at least one legendary. There are rare times where I don't find a legendary, but most times I find at least one. But 75% of the time, I find 2, 3, maybe even 4 legendaries per rift. When you do a Greater Rift, you do all those monsters and then you kill that Greater Rift Guardian and not have a legendary drop, that sucks. Because if you could have spent that time in a regular Rift, chances are you would have got a legendary. So if I was Blizzard, I would have kind of focused on not guaranteeing a legendary drop in every Greater Rift, but when you get to a certain level of Rift, one should automatically drop. Guaranteed every time. Or at least significantly increase the chance of a legendary drop. That's my opinion. But it didn't seem to happen here. But this is what they've done. They increased the crafting materials, guys. So for anyone who does a lot of crafting, that's a big plus for you guys. So it's up on the screen here. And as well, Infernal Machine in multiplayer games, the Kia Bones, Kia Gluttony, and Kia War will now be considered group drops. So if you're playing with the group guys and you're farming these keys, they'll drop for everybody. Rather than just one person get one, another person not get one, it'll drop for everyone. So that's a good thing as well. It just kind of elaborates. This means that instead of players having an individual chance to find a key, that chance now exists at the party level. So what I just said. If the Kia Bones, Kia Gluttony, or Kia War drops, it will drop for everyone in the party at the time. Okay. Yeah. Greater Rifts. The Rift of Trials has received numerous adjustments in an effort to more accurately assess the appropriate level of Greater Rift. I agree with that. I mean, there was a lot of times where I would get up to like level 32, I believe, on the trial, and then it would put me to like level 28 or 29 or whatever, and it was like, crap, I know I could beat those levels. I just want to get to the level that I know I'm having a tough time on, and try to beat that level. So I can agree with that. That's pretty good. Large aqueduct and sewer maps will no longer show up in Greater Rifts. Oh, holy fiddlin' fuck. That was a big problem. These long ass maps. You get right to the very end, spawn the Rift Guardian. If you happen to die, you're all the way back again. And I mean, dying even once would mean that you either make or break the map. Like you know, are you going to beat it or not? And when you get these long sewer maps, and I noticed it was only exclusive to those Act 2 maps. Man, they were horrible. really long and just very unnecessary. So I'm really glad that they fixed that. You'll see a lot more people going further in these greater rifts now just because of that one change. Some changes to Kadala here as well, guys. The philosophy, while Kadala is doing a great job of giving players more control over finding specific items, we felt the current experience was a bit cumbersome and inconvenient. As a result, we're working to reduce the frequency at which players need to run between Kadala and the blacksmith to salvage unwanted items. Was it really a big problem? Were people complaining about that? Like, to me, this is just nitpicking on Blizzard's part. I never, you don't get blood shards at such a rate where you're going to be constantly going to Kadala anyway. This is one of them things where you got to run, at least in T6, at least 5 regular T6 rifts to accumulate 500 or near 500 to even spend them at Kadala. So is it really a big problem running back and forth to Kadala and the blacksmith? I mean, actually in Act 1 they're so close together that it's just like click, 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 click. What the heck? Like, it just doesn't seem to make any sense. And I don't recall anybody on the forums actually complaining about that sort of thing. But if you go on the forums now, you're going to see people complaining about this. So I really don't know. I know they put the philosophy there, but I don't understand why they would do such a thing. To the space in between. So anyway, the cost to purchase items from Kadala has been greatly increased, and boy, guys, has it ever. Talk about garbage. 100 blood shards for an amulet, and whoa, 25 blood shards for a regular item. I mean, that's I understand they want us not going to Kadala as much and back and forth to the blacksmith and whatnot. I don't think that was the way to do it. Like I said, I don't believe it was that big of a problem to begin with. However, there is a good thing about this, guys, and the chance for Kadala to drop a legendary item has also been greatly increased. So if there's any good to come out of this, it's that one specific stat right there, that Kadala will be dropping legendary items more often. I really didn't find there was a problem with the legendary rate from Kadala to begin with. To me, Kadala was always just that extra bonus that you got from killing monsters in the rifts, getting them blood shards. I mean, for every 500 shards that I spend, I usually got one legendary, which seemed to me to be okay because I got so friggin' many legendaries in T6 rifts to begin with. So I would have kind of left Kadala alone. The only thing I would have changed with Kadala is specific weapons. Like, you can click on a one-handed weapon, you can get anything. So I would have kind of switched it out to axes, swords, wands, ceremonial knives, stuff like that. That's what I would have done. But I would have raised the costs. I would have went from 15 to maybe 100 to pick a specific type of item. I would have preferred that. I would have appreciated that I could pick and farm with Kadala a specific item that I was looking for, even if it was at a greater cost. That's just my opinion, guys. As a player, I just don't feel like Kadala was one of the, like, let's say for example you want a witching hour. All the amount of belts, or actually let's take a better example. Let's go with SMK, Star Metal Cookery. If I wanted an SMK, go to Kadala and 15 a pop, with the chance that I'll never ever get this item from Kadala. I think the chances of getting that item is like 0.02 or something like that. It's so small, it's almost insignificant. Like, I mean, you're just not going to find it with Kadala. However, if you made it so, if you paid 100 and were able to choose ceremonial knife, well, I think your odds might go up to 5%. And when you go from 0.02 to 5%, that's a damn good jump, and 5% isn't that bad of odds. I know some players would complain, Kadala is going to be like this and that. You're finding all the items you want. Well, I think the game should be kind of fun like that. You know what I mean? Like, you should have some sort of power over what you're doing and what you're finding, and that would have been what I would have done with Kadala. Anyway, this is, it is what it is, and I am happy to see that the legendary drop rate has been increased, but kind of sad to see that everything's cost so much more, because believe it or not, with that added cost, you're going to see your crafting materials even go down regardless of the Rift Guardians dropping more crafting materials. Again, just my opinion. Let me know what you think. Bug fixes. Fix an issue that could cause greater Rift Guardians to sometimes drop multiple of the same legendary gem. I've never had that problem. I've never had a Rift Guardian drop 2 of the same legendary gem at any time, but if it was happening, I'm glad they fixed it. Crafting with the Mystic, enchanting philosophy. We wanted players to be able to more reliably add sockets to their jewelry in order to enjoy legendary gems. We still have long-term plans to provide more outlets for excess gems and more ways to farm gems that a player needs. However, since those changes are further down the road, we wanted to improve the quality of life of seasonal and non-seasonal players alike by making it easier to add a sock to your rings and amulets. Hey, that's cool. Nothing wrong with that at all. The cost to enchant jewelry has been reduced from a flawless Imperial gem to an Imperial gem. Again, just one of those parts of the game, guys, which is so damn tedious. You sit there and you want to craft, let's say 50 or 60 flawless Imperial gems or Imperial gems, and you gotta wait, you gotta wait, you gotta wait. So this is just completely going to take that right out of the equation, guys. So much quicker, and that's a big plus. We got some changes to monsters here, guys. The Electrified Monster Affix has a short internal cooldown. I don't know about you guys, but in these higher level rifts, you really notice a difference on the Electrified Monster Affix now. It doesn't do anywhere near as much damage anymore. So, man, I want to say damage, but it doesn't proc as often. It's so awesome, guys. You guys got to take a look at that. The damage of the Butcher's Fan of Spears has been slightly reduced. Awesome. I've been one-shotted by that goddamn thing so many times, guys. It's just ridiculously frustrating. Ugh. Glad that's been changed. The range of the Charging Beast charge attack has been slightly reduced. Plague Nest Bats have had their health globe drop rate significantly decreased. Okay. Now, Nephilim Rifts and Greater Rifts. Maggot Broods no longer start out burrowed in Nephilim Rifts and Greater Rifts. Sand Dwellers are no longer start out burrowed in Nephilim Rifts and Greater Rifts. Demonic Hellflyers now run away less frequently. That's another big plus. And no longer ambush players from the air. That was just so incredibly annoying as well, guys, and I've always made this argument in many of my videos. The game should never give you no option except dying. When you have no choice but to die, and it's not your fault, that's not a game. There should always be a strategic way to avoid death, because that's what a game is. That's what skill means. You get better at this game by altering your strategy to avoid death. But when you have no choice but to die, then the game is kind of just, it's not a game at that point. It's impossible. And these demonic hellflyers guys would just go, boom, flatten you, one-shot it, right away. And if you were in one of those Act 2 maps and you were all the way at the end, well, you just lost your rift. Impossible, because you got one-shotted, and it was impossible to beat. So that's a very big plus right there, guys. Ghosts now run away less frequently and no longer fly through walls in Nephilim Rifts and Greater Rifts. That was a son of a gun too, especially the elite packs. Go through a wall, never see them again. And the thing is that if you don't kill every single elite in that pack, you don't get the little purple globes that increase your progression. So it made it very annoying. So that's another big plus. Rockworms can no longer spawn in Nephilim Rifts and Greater Rifts. Oh my holy monkey! Those rockworms were another monster that could one-shot you easily, because you get 2 or 3 that just come up underneath you and boom, dead. You were gone. There was nothing you could do about it. I mean, sometimes you can kind of hear them, or a little shaking going on, but when you got a whole bunch of monsters already on screen and you're kind of focused on killing those monsters, trying to find a strategy to get around those monsters without dying, and then those things come out of the ground, it's just, it sucks so bad. So those rockworms now gone is a huge plus. You'll see a lot of big differences with your survivability in these rifts. So guys, that's a look at the patch. In my opinion, this is an amazing patch. Even with some of the negative things, like, I don't even want to call them negative things. You should have just left Kajala alone. There's nothing wrong with her or the blacksmith. I'm looking forward to playing more. You're going to see more videos in the future of me kind of going in depth with some of these things. And yeah, guys, again, if you want to add me up and play in game, it's Tiggy Wiggy 1977. So it's TIGGY WIGGY 1977. Add me up, guys. We'll do some greater rifts. I'd love to do some greater rift runs, guys, with a group. I don't do it too often. Me and my wife sometimes do it. Me and my buddy sometimes do it. But I'd like to do it with other players, you know. I got my Demon Hunter too. I've only put maybe a few hours on it, and trying to find gear, you know, as I'm going. And it's coming along. It's not where I want it to be. I'm kind of going for the Marauder set and maybe a cold Sentry build. But yeah, I'd like to get some input on that. So guys, with that in mind, I'm going to get back onto the game here, maybe do a couple of runs and give you guys some more videos. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you in the next video.